Jesus lived it for us so we can get it. This is what it looks like, this is what it smells like, this is what it tastes like. You know, power to heal, the opportunity. I'm not talking native claiming or chicanery. I'm talking about people of peace and healing and truth and grace and love and light. All that stuff that he demonstrated. The way he dealt with people, the way he elevated the folks that were on the margins, the way that he respected people even with means to tell them the truth about what they could do if they really wanted to make a difference in this world. On and on and on. I mean, that was his part of it. So, I don't know why I got off on that. But, yeah, I do. Because the church had one job, we missed it. Because if you go back look at Matthew 18, it's the key, you have the keys of the kingdom. Now, the first century rabbis, when their disciples got it, they gave them the key. You say, I thought that key meant they unlocked. It's something you unlock something with. So the church had the power to lock it up, unlock it. That's ridiculous. I mean, really, when you think about it, the kingdom doesn't belong to us. I mean, what God's doing is God's business. But what he did was the disciples finally said, you get it, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. Read a few verses earlier. Way to go, Pete, you got it. They have a little help, but you got it. I'm going to give you my key now. Well, what would be the key of Rabbi Jesus? Of course, it would be the kingdom key. That was the thing that he would. So when you brush up against the church, you're supposed to brush up against the kingdom, not a church-centric way of thinking, but a kingdom bias, kingdom-centric view. This is so liberating, both for church leaders. Every church leader I know that's struggling with burnout is consumed with church stuff. Every church leader I know that is consumed with kingdom stuff is alive and well and thrilled because their souls are being fed. We weren't built to do prolonged tribute. We were built, which causes burnout. We were built to be co-conspirators with God for bringing the kingdom to earth. And so it's just so much more fun to do. But it scares people because fear and control are the two dominant forces that guide religion. All religion. Even if it calls itself Christianity. Because Jesus didn't start a religion. We did. And so, anyway, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Did you get your 4S? Stewardship and structure. But put structure down in a parenthesis somewhere. Don't bring that up. That's scary about it. But I will tell you some of your structural stuff will shift if you want to become a movement. It will have to. It'll have to. And that's not criticism. Because if the Salvation Army didn't exist, God would have to create it. But I can tell you, the Salvation Army that Booth created is not the Salvation. He wouldn't do it the same way today. And that's what we got. That's what makes you a movement, is the willingness to bend, flex, be relative. You know, relevant. You were going to say that.
I was going to say, I like the calculus of the 4 or 5 components, because oftentimes we look for the silver bullet.
Yeah.
Just change the story, or if you just change this structure, just change. No, it's dynamic.
And you're right. And we don't get a pass on any one of those 4. Any one of those first things for sure. You don't get it. You got to deal with them all. You can change the story, but if you're still using the old scorecard, it'd be like TCU trying to beat Georgia Washington. Georgia was playing football, and I don't know what TCU is. But that old scorecard will beat you to death.
Yeah.
If you know, and it does. It's the tail that wags the dog. So it's 15 pages of statistics. We think this is why we exist. No, it's not. All right. Well, now I'm out of time. Any other questions before we? I'm already thinking about lunch. I woke up every day thinking about lunch. So, if you can remember all the way back to yesterday afternoon, we were talking about the collaborative path. If, as Glenn talked about with the Fed study, collaborative leadership is the single most important key, not exclusive, but the number one, seemingly, in an order of other things. There were 4 or 5 that he mentioned. But in collaborative leadership, that's why we wanted you to think about who else could be in on our conversations, how can we accelerate the collaborative pathways. Well, the Stanford folks, whose language I borrowed yesterday to frame our thoughts, they also gave us some insights about what they call preconditions for collective impact. In other words, if you don't meet these, you can't get out of the box. You can dream all you want, but you'll never get started. It's like believing you belong in the championship game, but you just don't have it. I'm not making any snide comments about TCU. I have a friend who said TCU won, he would send me a Christmas ham. I'm not sure which Christmas he was talking about, and so I lost a ham last night. I'm pretty down about it. But anyway, so I told him he wouldn't do it anyway. It's cheap. Which probably meant he was going to use last Christmas's ham, but you can get those pretty cheap right now. Pretty good price. So they named 3 preconditions, and I'll identify them, and you're going to have a conversation around them. They talk about you've got to promote a sense of urgency. Meaning, if we don't get people's pants on fire about this sucker, nothing's going to happen. How do you get people, on your page of saying, we need to do this. This is worth doing, and we're going to have to do some different stuff to get it done, whatever it is. Now, the culture, the news media, social media, politicians, everybody wants to hand you something urgent, but you know what? You've got, all the folks that talk about organization, whether it's Connor on organizational change or whatever else, creating a sense of urgency is the #1 thing. You've got to do it. We're going to give you a chance to talk among yourselves about how can we do that? How can we get this, whatever it is, the it that you're wanting to pull up, whether it's a scholarship program through music or whatever, what is the it that you're trying to get higher? So it's creating a sense of urgency. The second thing is you have to have resources. Well, we're in southern Florida. There are resources. There's money. There's philanthropic money. There's commerce money. There's relief money still floating around out in the cities that they have to spend. You're not at a loss for resources, but it is a matter of knowing, can you garner the resources and focus them on your project? And not just money. Resources means volunteers or imagination, thoughts, ideas. We'll talk about this on next time probably, but how do we look for those positive deviants? I don't mean people, I mean behaviors that, why is this successful? Why are they having success with homelessness issue when another 100 cities aren't? What are they doing differently there? So those are the resources, a whole bundle of stuff. And volunteers, we'll talk about the Army. Let me back up on this thing. Most not-for-profits, I'm not including you in this, of course. Many not-for-profits don't know how to treat volunteers well. And then we wonder why they don't come back and play. And, oh my goodness, it is such a critical component for having the resources, the person power that actually turns ideas into action. And then the Stanford folks talk about a champion, and and someone who carries the flag, who rallies the troops, and they're out. Now I think they're right about these 3, but I think there are 2 others that I would add to this list. They assume, I'm pretty sure, in part of the champion deal. But see, I think you've got to have a convener, someone that can actually pull people together, somebody who can put butts at the table and the right people. And I don't think, though, that the convener necessarily is the champion. The convener the mayor can call the meeting and people will show up, but they're on to 400 other things next week because they can convene stuff, but they don't live with this problem every day. That's what the champion does. They get up thinking about this, they go to bed thinking about this, they eat, live, this stuff, that it is their, their consumed meal. And then we think, of course, you would expect us to think that, some kind of coaching in terms of the conversation. And that's our role with you. I can tell you, in my own city, Columbia, South Carolina, 7 different agencies roughly working with homeless people. They can't sit in the same room and have a conversation because everybody's trying to get their 40 at the meet. Everybody's going after the same volunteer crew, the same amount of money, and all this stuff, and they're competitors. With all having stated that, our job is to, make life better for the homeless. And so, sometimes you really have that outside voice that can say, thanks, Susan, for that input. Now, Fred, do you have something to say here, or just someone who doesn't have their 40th need, that's not considered a competitor, just to shape the conversation so you can get people to come around in a collaborative way. Now, what we want to do this morning is give you a chance as you start your day together to think through, just like yesterday, those elements of the collaborative path. How can you accelerate? What are some ideas we need to do? Now we're going to send you to your tables and your team to think about how can we raise the temperature on urgency about whatever the mutual agenda is that you're teasing out from each other. And what do we need to be thinking about in terms of resource development? And what insights do we have around champions, or champions, how to create a champions network in many cases in larger kinds of communities. So we want to give you that chance, and the templates are distributed. We'd love for you to use the little individual worksheets, but please, it's important to transfer that to the larger template. That'll be your living memory as a team and your way to report out to us. So I'd like for you to have about 45 minutes for this. It's important. We'll monitor how you're doing. And if you finish sooner, we'll reconvene everybody. But this is an important exercise. Let that go. All right. Got it? All right, go for it.